So, hallo, herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Runde Let's Play Zero Escape, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. Letztes Mal haben wir geschaut, was passiert, wenn man hier auf diesem Weg die ganzen Schlüssel mitnimmt und dann schließlich hier bei diesem Ende landet. Sarg. Also The Three Left Behind heißt es hier. In dem dann plötzlich sich Santa aus dem Staub macht, nachdem er quasi June mit einer Waffe bedroht hat und alles. Wir müssen das jetzt hier ein bisschen umstellen. Das heißt, ich mache jetzt hier kurz Outside the Cabin.
Another hallway?
Damit haben wir das Ganze nämlich so ein bisschen umgestellt. Sind jetzt hier. Haben damit entsprechend auch augenscheinlich richtige oder wichtige Gespräche geführt. Jetzt hier Outside the Lab.
Phew, thank God we got out of there.
Haben wir hier die Gespräche auch schon alle geführt. Was hatten wir denn da so? Laboratory, Computer und Locker. Ach ja, das war dieses Gespräch über Prosopagnosie und sowas. Und Erinnerungen eines Menschen vielleicht einfach an anderen Stellen gespeichert. Jetzt führen wir hier ein Gespräch im Engine Room.
I believe the box has reached the floor.
Erstmal Novel Screen. Okay. Das ist jetzt ein Gespräch, das man sonst nicht geführt hätte, glaube ich.
Yeah.
He stuck his head out over the side of the catwalk and looked down. The box that had only recently hung just below the catwalk now sat on the floor. It had come to rest near the end of the tunnel that covered the conveyor belt.
June's down over by there.
Junpei could see her, still leaning against the wall, as if she barely had the strength to sit up. Even from so far away, it was not difficult to see that she had not improved. He almost thought he could see heat rising from her body.
She doesn't seem to be improving.
Ace's expression was inscrutable, but he'd said what they had all been thinking.
Well, of course not. She's not gonna just get better right away, you know? It'll take time.
He tried desperately to convince himself that what he'd said was true.
What could be causing this, I wonder? Illness, perhaps?
Nah, it's gotta be exhaustion.
Sandra's response was confident and certain.
She gets dropped into some weird-ass ship, forced to play some messed-up game. If you think about it, it's a lot weirder that we aren't freaking out just like her, you know?
Ich glaube, das Gespräch hatten wir schon. Ich schau mal, ob ich skippen kann bis zu einem gewissen Punkt. They stood there for a few more minutes, no one speaking until Santa turned and walked away from the winch. Junpei and Ace followed him.
You know, speaking of experiments,
Ah, das Gespräch ist jetzt neu. Santa suddenly stopped.
there was this experiment some scientists did with rats. First, they took a squarish C-shaped tank and filled it with enough water that the rats could drown in it. The tank has two exits. Just to make it easy, we'll call one A and the other B. Exit A is pitch black, so dark even a rat can't see anything. But exit B is electrified, which means the rat can't leave through it. So, what would a rat do if it was put in this situation? Which exit would the rat choose?
There was a moment of silence after Santa posed the question, and then Ace responded.
B, of course. The rat has no way of knowing that exit B is electrified.
Exactly. The rat goes to exit B. Of course, like I said, it's electrified. Which means the rat can't get out that way. So, after a lot of trial and error, the rat finally finds exit A.
I can't say that's very interesting or relevant. It's simply the story of a laboratory experiment.
You're right. It isn't very interesting. See, these scientists repeated this experiment over and over, using hundreds of different rats over several generations. This produced some surprising results. With each generation, the rats took less time to find the correct exit. Eventually, a rat was put in the tank who instantly chose exit A without even attempting to go to exit B. But that wasn't the most impressive part. The same experiment was conducted in another laboratory, far from the original one, with the same results. No, on second thought, the results weren't really the same. The rats in this second experiment began the trials with significantly faster times than the first rats in the initial one. These rats weren't related to the others and had never even come in contact with them. And yet, they all easily found their way to Exit A as though they already knew. What did it mean?
Are you suggesting something like telepathy? They were passing information to one another through some undetectable medium?
Ace looked skeptical. Santa snorted at him.
How the hell would I know? I'm not any kind of scientist. I don't know what made him do that. But I do know that story's true. And if you've got another explanation, I'd sure love to hear it. Come on, let's get going. There's still a lot here we haven't checked out. And we gotta get the hell out of here before June passes out.
Without waiting for a response, he turned around and started walking. Junpei, however, wasn't quite ready to leave the topic alone.
Hey, wait. There's something I want to ask you.
What?
Santa stopped and turned around.
Why did they use that tank for the experiment?
Huh?
Well, I mean, it seems like you could conduct the same experiment without the water. They could have just used a dry box, you know? If they needed to motivate the rats to escape, they could have, I don't know, put some bait by exit B or something. I mean, do they really have to make it so the rats can drown?
Santa gave him a grim bark of a laugh.
You know, the word emergency comes from the same root as the word emerge. You ever think about that?
Huh?
Well, an emergency is something urgent, often something dangerous. And to emerge means to sort of come out, or appear, or rise out of something else. So what's going to emerge in an emergency? Inspiration.
Inspiration?
Yeah. Think about it. When the chips are down, either you crack or your mind focuses and pulls up what you need.
So in an emergency, your real potential emerges. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That's why the rats had to drown. They had to be in danger. There had to be an emergency for inspiration to emerge.
Oh.
Ja, also dafür, dass der Kerl sich mit Wissenschaft nicht auskennt, angeblich, hat er schon ein paar interessante Sachen drauf. Na gut, und wir wissen ja auch, was der in einem Ende anstellt, der Kerl, also so ganz trauen sollte man ihm vielleicht nicht. Junpei suddenly felt cold. The back of his head was aching, and his stomach felt strange. Oh, ja gut, das war's dann hier schon. Jetzt haben wir hier den Cargo Room. Und das wird jetzt interessant. Bei diesen neuen Fotos kommt jetzt was Neues.
Now we finally have all 9 picture cards.
Skippen. Also da gibt er ja jetzt kurz die Karten an Ace weiter, oder? Just then, Junpei heard a noise. He spun around just in time to see June collapse in front of the fence.
Hey! June, are you okay?
She did not respond. Junpei spun back around to face Ace.
I'm sorry, I gotta go check on her. You finish the box thing, alright? Just put the cards in the boxes. I'm counting on you.
He shoved the cards into Ace's hands and ran off toward June.
Are you alright? What happened?
Junpei called out to her as he ran.
Can you stand?
As he arrived, June was climbing to her feet with Santa's help.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm fine. I just tripped.
Don't give me that. Now is not the time.
But it's true. I tripped over a box.
Just let me see for a sec.
Junpei put his palm on her forehead.
Huh.
You're still warm.
Her temperature was much the same as it had been in the last time he checked. She wasn't hot like she'd been before, but she was still warm. Her fever wasn't completely gone.
I saw her fall. I think she really did just trip on something, you know?
Junpei would have been more willing to agree if June hadn't needed quite so much help standing up.
Still, to fall down like that? I think she's probably still a little messed up.
June was doing her best to busy herself brushing dust off her dress. Her smile looked a little embarrassed and her face was a bit flushed. But she did look a great deal better than she had. Still...
Alright, well, let's just get out of here as fast as we can so we can get you to a hospital.
Oh, I don't think it's anything that serious. I just need a little medicine and some sleep, and I'll be fine.
Medicine. Medicine, huh? Well, if we could get in touch with anyone outside, I'll bet Ace could swing that for you easy.
Ace? Why?
Huh? Don't you know? He's the president of a pharmaceutical company. Cradle Pharmaceuticals is the name, I think.
Haben wir den Namen nicht schon mal gehört?
Their flagship product is an anesthetic drug called Soparil.
Soparil. Soparil? I've heard of that before somewhere.
Junpei couldn't shake the feeling that he'd heard about some Soparil before. Santa continued.
Soparil. It's an anesthetic that's a gas at room temperature. A lot like how nitrous oxide is. It takes only a few seconds to spread, and even a small amount is very effective. A bunch of countries quickly accepted it for widespread use within their police and military forces. It was an effective crowd suppressant and room clearer. It was practical, ethical, and the humane nature of it made it the ideal drug. It's been around for about 6 years. They developed it from the extracts of several different roots. It became popular almost as soon as it was made public, with many governments placing large orders. Demand for Soparil skyrocketed, and of course that meant Cradle Pharmaceuticals' stock did too.
Why do you know all of this?
Santa's information was interesting, but Junpei couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. Santa's reply was blunt and simple.
I heard it from the old man himself.
From Ace? When?
By the number 4 door at the central stairway, when we were searching the second-class room. Remember how Snake, 7, and you went to door 5? It was back then. I asked him what he did for a living, and he said he ran his own company.
Deshalb ist es wichtig, dass wir vorher diesen Weg gegangen sind, auch wenn es da keine wichtigen Gespräche gab.
After that, we just started talking, and I guess it just came up, you know?
Huh.
Are you worried about something?
No, nothing.
As he spoke, Junpei looked over toward Ace. He seemed to be having difficulty with the 9 boxes.
What the hell is he doing?
He turned back to June and Santa.
June, don't push yourself, alright?
Yes.
Santa, could you take care of her? I'll go check on Ace. Looks like he's having trouble.
Sure.
He gave them both a short nod and then turned and headed toward Ace.
What are you doing?
Ace's back was to him as Junpei approached. The older man turned around to look at him. His face was pale and covered in sweat.
What happened?
Nothing. My vision has gotten rather blurry, I think, because of fatigue. I can't see very well at the moment.
What can't you see well?
These pictures.
Ace held the cards out to Junpei, splayed out in the shape of a fan.
I don't care to admit it, but I may be developing presbyopia. Growing old is a difficult thing.
He made the best attempt he could at a self-depressing smile, but his face was flushed and his lips were pale and drawn. Ich weiß nicht genau, was Presbyopia ist, aber wahrscheinlich irgendwie sowas wie grauer Star oder so. Ist auf jeden Fall eine Sehschwäche.
At any rate, I'll leave the rest to you. I'm feeling awfully tired, so if you don't mind, I'd like to rest for a bit.
He shoved the cards into Junpei's hands and walked quickly away. Junpei looked at him quizzically.
How could simply looking at cards have tired him out?
Gute Frage. Also, Junpei looked down at the cards in his hands. All of the pictures were quite clear, and each person easily recognizable. Was Ace's vision truly so bad?
But if it wasn't, what had made him so uncomfortable?
That was when Junpei remembered what he'd heard from Lotus much earlier.
Prosopagnosia. Well, put simply, it means a condition where the mind can't distinguish between human faces. In other words, my face would look the same as Clover's or even yours. so they can't remember faces, which is how most people recognize each other. That means that people with prosopagnosia have trouble recognizing even people they're close to.
Maybe he's got prosopagnosia?
Junpei took another look at Ace. He sat at the base of the stairs, looking quite depressed.
Well, he looks depressed enough to have it.
If he really did have prosopagnosia, there was no doubt it was a depressing and painful experience. Still, Junpei didn't feel like patting him on the shoulder and telling him everything would be alright would help that much. Still, Junpei thought perhaps it was best he keep Ace's condition to himself, at least for the time being.
Oh well.
Doing his best to clear his mind for the task at hand, he turned back toward the boxes.
Time to solve the 9 boxes puzzle.
9 cards with pictures and 9 boxes. Junpei stared at them for a moment and then began.
Ace's card is in box 1, Snake's is in number 2. I just need to do the same for the rest. And finally, the 9th man's card into box 9.
All 9 box lids popped open at once.
Yeah! Oh, they opened!
Ja, das kennen wir eigentlich. Das können wir skippen. Mit den Pins. So. Damit haben wir schon mal erfahren, dass tatsächlich wohl Ace unter Prosopagnosie leidet. Also es ist eine Theorie, das könnte sein. Noch ist es nicht bestätigt. Jetzt haben wir noch die Sache mit dem Sarg. Ich skippe bis zu dem Punkt, dass wir können. Jetzt gerade macht ja nur Santa einen Scherz. Die Pistole ist drin. Ach so, da gibt's... Ach nee, das ist gar keine weitere Schlüsselsequenz. Ich finde es sehr interessant bei den Sachen, wenn wir es hier haben. Outside the room, found the door, bla bla. Missing Clover. Ja. Ach stimmt, das ist ja auch eine Sache. Hier hat ja Clover gefehlt, bevor man umgebracht wurde. Man hat Clover auch nicht mehr gefunden, glaube ich. Soll ich hier schon mal anfangen? Ich glaube, ansonsten wäre die Folge ein bisschen kurz. Es wird auf jeden Fall sowieso eine sehr lange Sache mit diesem Ende. Komm, ich beginne das schon mal. They took the elevator up to C deck. Once there, they headed back toward the main hall and the central staircase. It didn't take them long.
Look, it's...
7 and Lotus.
They didn't look happy.
We've got a problem.
Clover is gone.
Ach, das kennen wir. Das skippe ich. Clover fehlt. Junpei and June ran to the large hospital room together. As quickly as they could, they searched around and under the beds and in the corners.
She's not here.
No, she isn't.
Alright, just in case, we should go take a look in the shower room.
Shower room?
That's where her brother is. She might have gone to see him.
Wir wissen ja inzwischen, es ist nicht ihr wirklicher Bruder, es ist jemand anders. June bit her lip. She knew, as Junpei did, that there was only one thing to see in the shower room, and it wasn't pleasant.
Well, we might as well check, right? Let's go.
There was a screwdriver stuck between the door and the frame.
Good. We can still get in.
We should thank Seven later.
Junpei and June slipped through the door, moved down the hallway, and stepped into the shower room.
No luck.
Yeah, I don't think she's here.
June's voice was faint, and she placed her hands over her mouth. Her face looked a little green.
The smell is horrible.
The stench in the room was almost unbearable. It had grown far more unpleasant since their last visit. If Junpei had eaten a lunch, he would have had a difficulty retaining it. He wanted to leave the room as soon as possible, but he had to be sure. and the only way to be sure was to check the other side of the divider.
Let's check the back, just to be sure.
June offered no resistance and nodded weakly to Junpei as he headed around the divider. He stopped at the corner and turned his head.
No, she's not here.
As he'd expected, Clover was nowhere to be seen. The only thing on the other side of the divider was a dead body, lying in a reddish-brown puddle of dry and drying blood.
Snake. Just where did your sister go?
Junpei whispered to what once was Snake. He'd asked He'd asked rhetorically, of course, as there was no way he'd get an answer. He gave a deep sigh.
Such a horrible way to go. The skull shattered, the left arm's hideously twisted. Huh? Wait.
The bright white of the ulna was clearly visible through the remains of skin and muscle. Bright white. Ulna.
Bones.
The pieces fell into place. Junpei remembered something Clover had told him in the laboratory.
My brother's left arm is, it's not like a normal person's arm. The accident hurt him really bad.
Of course. Of course.
Hier wusste Clover nicht, dass das nicht Snake ist, aber jetzt hat Junpei das rausgekriegt.
Why didn't I realize it earlier?
Clover told Junpei that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. But the left arm of the corpse behind the divider was quite clearly a real human arm. Or at least it had been once. That meant... the corpse?
Jumpy?
June's unsure voice at Junpei's suddenly strange behavior June's unsure voice at Junpei's suddenly strange behavior drew his attention back to her.
Oh, sorry for making you wait. Let's go.
Junpei and June headed back toward the large hospital room. They stepped through the door and out of the shower room. Down the hallway they went, searching for Clover in every corner. They had reached the stairs when Seven appeared, breathless and yelling.
Junpei! June! Where were you guys?
He looked pale and his face was drawn. Something terrible had happened. Junpei's breath caught in his throat.
Did something happen?
Seven drew a shaking hand across his face and gulped down a breath of air.
Clover is dead. I found her in the first-class bathroom.
All sounds ceased for Junpei. The world was an empty, muffled expanse. Then he began to hear his own breathing. June's mouth moved, but he heard nothing. She tried once more, and then her energy was gone, and she collapsed against the wall. He could have helped her, but he hadn't, and now she was dead. So he stood there, frozen in place.
Clover. Clover. Why? Why did this happen?
He forced his body to move. Each step felt like another nail pounded into his heart. Finally, he was in front of her. He knelt and placed 3 fingers against Clover's neck. No pulse. No breath. But she was still warm, and her eyes were closed peacefully. It would have been easy to think she was asleep. Easy, that is, were it not for the slowly expanding puddle of blood beneath her. He traced its source to her back. A gash just beneath her shoulder blade. Was the weapon a knife, perhaps? If it was a knife, the killer had taken it when they left. When he closed his eyes, he saw Clover's smile.
Clover.
Her innocent smile. Her energy. He would never see her smile again.
No way.
He could have done something. He could have helped her. His stomach twisted itself into a sickening knot.
Let's get out of here, June.
Junpei lifted the limp June from the floor and carried her from the bathroom.
Are you alright?
Wir sehen schon in diesem Ende, dass das Messerende eben umgeht. Sieht es ein bisschen anders aus. Hier haben wir jetzt plötzlich eine Situation, in der Clover gefunden wird und sie ist tot. Und die Frage ist, wer hat sie umgebracht? It was a foolish question and he knew it.
Yes, I think so.
Her voice was weak. The fever had gone down, but the emotional scars she'd received were not likely to recede as quickly. Junpei laid his hand on her shoulder, and they walked back into the bedroom.
You should get some rest. Here, the bed. Can you sit?
Yes.
She nodded once and stared at the floor. There were 4 others in the room. Ace, Lotus, Santa and Seven. They all stared at nothing, their faces drawn and tired. After a while they drifted into the bathroom to see Clover's corpse themselves. Once everyone was back in the bedroom, Junpei walked slowly to the center of it and looked around as the slumped figures gathered there.
Who was the first to find the body?
Me.
Seven spoke from behind Junpei. He turned around. Seven's hand was up.
Why did you come to this room?
To look for Clover. Why else? I found her body in the bathroom. As soon as I did, I ran outside. I got to the top of the stairs by the casino and yelled as loud as I could. Hey, guys! I found her, but it's bad! She's in the bathroom in the first-class cabin! Come quick! Or something like that. Then I went back to the bathroom. Ace, Santa, and Lotus showed up real soon after that. But I guess you two hadn't heard me or something, because you didn't show. So I took off down the stairs to look for you. After that, I mean, you know the rest, right?
Junpei nodded and closed his eyes. There was one more thing he needed to ask.
Seven, there's one more thing I'm worried about.
What?
You stuck one of those plates in between the door and the frame, right? Why did you do that?
Come on, didn't I already tell you that? I did it so that the door wouldn't lock. So we could come back to this room? Oh. You think I did it?
Well, I don't know. That kind of depends on what you say, doesn't it?
For crying out loud.
Seven sighed and shook his head.
Follow me.
There were 2 doors standing next to one another. He opened the one on the right.
A closet?
Yeah.
Ja, wir kennen diesen Raum aus einer bestimmten Linie schon. Seven stepped inside. He stood in front of one of the shelves that filled it and gestured toward a small box. The box was a small metal cube. He looked at Junpei.
This is the reason. This safe. We couldn't open it when we were getting through this room. I figured there might be something pretty important in it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I figured eventually we might figure out what the numbers are for the safe. And if we did, I didn't want to screw around with door 5 again. So I put the plate in the exit door so we could get back in that way. You get it?
Yeah.
Junpei nodded and looked at the safe. He grabbed the handle and shook it.
Figured it wouldn't open.
It was as locked as it had been when Seven found it.
Huh?
There was one change, however.
This is...
Just underneath the safe was a pile of fine reddish-brown powder.
rust.
Junpei stared at it, considering.
If there's rust here, that means... Has someone opened the safe?
Junpei left the closet. Seven followed him back to the bedroom. It was cold and quiet. No one spoke. They sat, frozen in place by shock and grief and fatigue. The room felt tiny and oppressive, and the thick metallic smell of blood filled the room. Junpei turned and headed for the living room. Anything to get out of there.
Maybe there's another clue. Anything that might lead us to discover who stabbed Clover.
As quickly as they could, they searched around and under the beds and in the corners. His eyes caught on the door. The door that led to the passageway of door number 5.
Behind this door. The 9th man's body is behind there. Maybe I should have another look at it, just in case.
Quietly, he pushed open the door.
Ugh.
The smell hit him like a blow to the face.
Oh, the hell? This smell is...
His lungs contracted, unwilling to inhale such fetid air. Acid boiled up from the base of his stomach, churning what little food was there into a violent froth. Übergibt er sich wohl, zumindest Galle. It was too much for him, and he vomited. A thin stream of yellow water and bile splattered onto the floor. He wiped his mouth weakly and stared at the dead body. Chunks of torn flesh lay in an arc around the body. What remained of its intestines had slid out onto the floor. The pool of blood that framed it was half dry, but so thick that it had taken on the texture not unlike that of an egg yolk prepared sunny side up. On the floor next to the broken mass of the man's head lay the glasses, cracks spidering across the lenses. The bloodstains near them had already dried, like scraps on the floor.
Wait.
That was when he noticed.
It's gone. His bracelet. It's gone. It was right next to the glasses.
But now, it was gone. The number 9 bracelet was gone.
But why?
Had someone taken it? He was turning it over and over in his mind when he heard Seven's voice.
Huh? Where'd Junpei go?
It had drifted out to him from the living room. Junpei walked slowly out of the hallway.
Oh, there you are. Were you looking for something in the hallway?
Seven looked up as Junpei entered the room.
Yeah.
Did you find something?
He thought for a moment before he responded.
No, nothing.
Technically, it wasn't a lie. He hadn't found anything. In a way, in fact, that was the problem. Something he'd expected to find hadn't been there. The 9th man's bracelet.
What's up?
Well, I wanted you to take a look at something.
What is it?
Seven led Junpei back to the bathroom.
Clover.
As Clover's corpse came into view, he felt his heart flip, and then fall onto the bottom of his stomach. Something between a sigh and a groan escaped his lips.
What was it you wanted to show me?
His voice was hollow and empty.
I searched Clover's body again. A real shame. She was stabbed once in the back, probably by a knife or something. And I found this.
As he spoke, he moved around Clover's head, then knelt down and flipped open her right hand.
What?
She was holding a piece of paper.
I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know? Basic stuff. Well, I did borrow one thing.
What?
He wasn't sure what that meant, but it likely didn't matter. The paper was more important.
I'm opening it.
He picked it up and carefully opened it. There were 2 sentences written on it.
Truth had gone, and truth had gone. Ah, now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand.
What is this? Some kind of secret code?
Seven peered over Junpei's shoulder at the note. Junpei stepped away from Clover's body and into the living room. He began to pace, attempting to decode the note.
A code.
The first clue was likely the phrase sinister hand. Sinister hand means rechte oder linke. Das entscheidet jetzt der Würfel. Wenn es falsch ist, wird wahrscheinlich sowieso die Lösung genannt. Spielt wirklich keine Rolle für den Ausgang. Das Ding sagt die linke.
Sinister was a term used in heraldry that meant to the left of the bearer of a coat of arms. The left hand. The left hand. What does the left hand mean?
Junpei looked at his own left arm. At the bracelet on his wrist.
Does the darkness of the sinister hand have something to do with the bracelet?
He examined the bracelet closely.
There's 2 things sticking out on either side of the face. The left and right sides of the face. Left and right. Left and right. Right and left. Truth is gone. Truth gone.
Truth. Gone. Maybe those 2 words? Ich würde sagen, das machen wir dann auch wieder über den Würfel. Das sind 4 Möglichkeiten, da passt das auch wieder perfekt mit dem 12-Seiter. Oh Mann, blöd gewürfelt. Das Ding war auf Kippe. How about reading it out loud?
Maybe there's something about how they sound out loud. Truth. Gone. Nope. They sounded the same in my head.
Time for a different idea. Wir haben noch 3 weitere Möglichkeiten. How about reading them backwards?
How about reading them backwards? Gone and truth. Enog and Hittert. What am I saying? Those aren't even words. I doubt that's what the riddle was trying to say. Wasn't a bad idea, though.
Truth gone. Those 2 words. Doch schon wieder, dass das auf Kippe steht, das ist doch nicht wahr. How about switching the sentence around?
How about switching the sentence around? Gone had truth. Well, that makes even less sense. Clearly, switching the words isn't going to help.
Time for a different idea? What else could gone and truth mean?
What else could gone and truth mean? Truth, of course, means something that is correct, something that's fact. In other words, something that is right. You could then safely assume that gone means left. After all, after someone left, they were gone. But in this case, they clearly refer to their directional homonyms. Then truth equals right, and gone equals left.
Junpei looked at the bracelet again.
The left and right of the bracelet. These 2 things sticking out. So if I...
Press them the following order. Right, 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 left, left, left. Left, 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 right, right, right. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Right, right, left, left, right, left. Left, left, right, right, left, right. Das ist relativ offensichtlich die Reihenfolge. Also rechts, links, rechts, links, rechts, links. Right, left, right, left, right, left. And then... one after another, 8 numbers flashed on, then off to the face of Junpei's bracelet.
Wait, did it just...
He checked one more time to be sure. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1.
1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1.
Huh? Hey, what are those numbers?
Junpei didn't answer. He couldn't answer. He had no idea what they were either. Besides, he was sure he would forget the numbers and the order they came in if he said anything.
1438342
Muttering the same numbers to himself over and over, Junpei headed toward the bedroom.
1438342 1438342 1438342 1438342
Before long, he found himself in front of the safe again. Its lock was the only device he could find of that required a sentence and a sequence of numbers, such as the ones he just discovered. Besides, someone had opened the safe at least once already. Had Clover come to the bedroom to open it? Junpei slowly dialed the numbers on the bracelet had given him.
1 to the right, 4 to the left, and... Oh,
Finished.
bingo. I knew it was for this.
A small, telltale sound of a lock opening. He grabbed the handle, took a deep breath, and pulled it up.
Oh, is this some sort of note?
Inside was a piece of paper. It was roughly the same size as the one Clover had been holding.
Let's see.
Junpei picked it up. This was what it said. Fact 1. The nonary game was played once before, 9 years ago. Fact 2. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. Fact 3. It was planned by the following 4 people. Ach, eigentlich können wir schon mal sagen, wir wussten ja schon, dass das nonary game vorher schon mal stattgefunden hat. Wir wussten auch, dass Snake teilgenommen hat, genauso wie Clover. Nur halt in unterschiedlichen Gruppen. So, it was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceuticals CEO Gentaro Hongo. Also, dass wir wissen, wer ist der Chef von Cradle Pharmaceuticals? Ace. Cradle Pharmaceuticals Chief of Staff Nagisa Nijisaki. Cradle Pharmaceuticals R&D Supervisor Teruaki Kubota. Majority shareholder in Cradle Pharmaceuticals Kagechika Musashido. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved, I now state the truth. 0. Ich würde mal sagen, das ist ein sehr dramatisches Ende für diese Folge. Da würde ich auch sagen, das speichere ich dann direkt. Irgendwie ich habe kurz gedacht, das Spiel hätte sich aufgehangen. Aber da haben wir jetzt was Interessantes rausgefunden. Augenscheinlich hängt Ace tierisch tief in der Scheiße drin, wenn man das so versteht. Also, und wir haben ja auch schon von Seven gehört, dass Cradle Pharmaceuticals wohl an diesen Entführungen vor 9 Jahren beteiligt war. 16 Kinder sind daher verschwunden. Und jetzt? Na gut, es soll auch ein Mädchen dabei gestorben sein. Auf jeden Fall macht das jetzt gerade Ace sehr verdächtig. Lasst mir eure Theorien zu den bisherigen Geschehnissen in den Kommentaren, ob vielleicht Sachen jetzt eher Sinn ergeben oder plötzlich ein ganz anderes Licht drauf geworfen wird. Aber ich sag mal, Seven ist natürlich auch nicht unverdächtig. Ich meine, die Person, die als erstes die Leiche findet. Und von Santa haben wir erlebt, was der fähig ist, wenn es sein muss. Ich bin gespannt auf eure Kommentare. Wir sehen uns in der nächsten Folge, wo es dann mit diesem nächsten Ende weitergeht. Und das wird eine wahrscheinlich etwas längere Folge, auch wenn die komplett aus Novel bestehen wird, wenn ich mich recht erinnere. Es wird richtig interessant. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Cheerio.